For today's video, we are continuing our expedition run, and specifically we're going to be playing our first game with the deck. So if you want to see the deck that I drafted and hear my kind of thought process behind each of the picks, that was yesterday's video. You can find it on the channel. But for now, we're going to hit the play button, and we're just going to dive right in to our first game with our currently mono Ionia list. I didn't really plan on going mono Ionia, but it was the best synergy picks that we had. And it's going to play very similar to a constructed Ionia list, where we're trying to leverage hand buff effects on our elusive units. Alright, we're going to throw these back. This has got a 100% trigger rate, so we're actually going to keep this just because we know that this will always pull 2 Inspiring Mentors. We're going to keep the Deny. We're going to send these back to look for some more early game, and we found 1 Mentor. So, again, we have 3 of these in the deck, so if we only have 1, that's fine. This will still pull 2. So essentially this is going to be, if it triggers and we have something in hand to get the hand buff, you're going to get, you know, a 2-3, a 1-1, and a 1-1. So that's like a 4-5's worth of stats, but then the 1-1's buff. So it's really like a 6-7 worth of stats from the investment in this. And we're gonna go ahead and buff this Lightblade.
You'll thank me later.
And it's not uncommon to see a lot of passing in the early rounds, because even the folks who do draft, you know, 1 and 2 drops, you don't always find them.
Hey, Krabby.
That's my resting face.
It's not like constructed where you can jam, you know, 6 or 7 1-drops into your deck. Now, here against mono Shadow Isles, you do kind of expect the Vile Feast here. But we didn't run into it. Now, it can't block, so we have no concerns about attacking into this. We'll take our essentially free damage. And we're a bit lucky that we've, so far anyway, dodged that Vile Feast. This round is probably, unless they target something, we can always bounce with the Shadow Shift here. But unless they target something of ours, this is actually a really good deny. Because not only do we stop this from becoming a 4-4, but we prevent them from drawing 2 cards as well. So, well, I normally like to save my denies for protecting my elusives. In limited here, this is a very good deny. And what I was about to say was, the play was likely going to be passing to save our spell mana for future deny targets. So, in many ways, kind of the same outcome. But instead of using it in the future, we're just doing it right now. So as long as we don't draw an Inspiring Mentor, and we didn't. Oh, that's so beautiful. This has already got 1 buff, so we don't need to hit it anyway, but this is going to be... Watch this play, right? We're going to play the Wayfinder, which is going to give us 2 Mentors, which is going to buff this up as well. Oh, that's right. Oh, see? Listen, gang. My mistake is a great learning opportunity for you. And I know that I've said this before, but I just kind of like had a mental brain fart here. So in this game, there's a difference between summon effects and play effects. And I'm learning now the hard way. This is a play effect. So when these come into play, that does not, I repeat, does not trigger the hand buff effect. So now I feel kind of bad. When I played as okay, when you're me and you've been playing the Elder Scrolls Legends for, I don't know, like 3 years or something, and every comes into play effect triggers whenever something enters the zone, it is a bit of a learning curve to remind yourself that there's a difference in this game. And I know mentally, I know it, but I always forget, so we're gonna have to keep that in mind going forward. That actually might be a reason to just bail out on playing this. If we get the opportunity to trade this out of our deck, it actually might very well still be worth it for us to trade. Like, having the 3 Mentors is fine. We'd happily still have them in our deck. And in many ways, I guess maybe like thinning them out here is also fine. And it gives us a decent amount of like potential chump blockers. Wonder if our opponent DC'd or maybe I'm DCing. I had this the other night where this kept happening and I thought maybe my opponent had DC'd and it was me. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and hit this. No, I'm still connected to the internet. Okay. We're gonna develop a life blade here.
They cannot strike what they cannot
We would very much like the elusive unit on the board to set up an open attack for next round. Hey, they're back. So they're going to be bringing a lot of stats our way. They've got a lot of mana here. What we really fear the most would be like Vile Feast more than anything. I mean, this getting rid of this is fine. Let's take some chump blocks. The question now is, like, we could jump this in front of this to get rid of the Fearsome on this, which is a bigger deal than just the 3/3 body, and we would heal a bit, but I'm just really concerned about Vile Feast here. But they haven't had it, like, in the past, or else I think they would have eaten this, so we're going to give this a go. The smart play would be to let this through this turn and block later when we have Shadow Shift up. So right now we're just kind of trying to stay ahead on terms of like tempo and health totals. And again, just relying on our elusives to the best of our ability. We're going to, I think, just take the open attack. We could be greedy and play this, but that is sadly still not enough for lethal. These would both attack for 3 because we would add 1 more unit to the field, and then with this, with the 4, that's only 10. So since it's not going to get us to threatening lethal, I think we just take the open attack. We want to have mana back for saving one of these with a Shadow Shift potentially. And then we can develop this maybe a bit later. Alright, so they want to summon Spiderlings, which is fine. Basically, they're going to make 3 2/1s here. We're just trying to decide, do we want to use this right now? And I think the answer is yes. Let's use it here. Because I want to cycle it. Okay. So we have this with the barrier, but we also have Highwayman, or we could just let the spell mana go and save something for the Shadow Shift. But I really like playing the Highwayman because it's going to give us 2 potential blockers for next turn. So we're just trying to protect against an open attack ourselves, right? If they start their turn opening by just attacking, we want to have as many blockers up as potentially possible. And that's exactly what they go for, so. What we are going to do, we're going to use this to block one of these. And we're going to block some of these spiders.
Just looking out for the public.
But we're going to do this here. So this will still count as blocked, but this will bounce back to our hand and we'll get the opportunity to, again, replay this, which would make yet even more bodies for chump blocking, which is, again, kind of part of the elusive game plan, right? You are going to just use these as like unblockable units to hopefully push for lethal damage at some point, while also using these you know, sacrificable 1/1s, 1/2s, whatever along the way to just prevent them from hitting you with the hammers. Because, you know, in a cost per stat, you know, ratio, regular units are always going to have higher stats than the other units. Right? Than your elusive units is what I mean to say, excuse me. Alright, so here we have to decide, do we want to play... I think we just go with the Usari, right? It's another elusive unit. Sets us up well for the open attack. They could have something like Vengeance here, but if they have it, then they already had it. Withering Wail is what we were really afraid of. Okay, so they're going to have the box for our Usari. So we still have a shot at lethal here, but it means we cannot go with the open attacks. We're going to slow play this a wee bit. We're going to start with the Elder.
No greater gift than knowledge.
And then we're going to go into a Highwayman who will buff this twice again. So as long as I don't have something that, again, tries to take out our 1 health things. Withering Wail is like a nightmare scenario for us at the moment, but... it's going to make our Highwayman relatively valuable again.
We don't want any.
So passing is the right move on their part because they want me to keep investing. They need me to show the lethal, if that makes sense, to threaten it before they take any action. And so now I've shown it, but they might be trying to wait because I still have 3 mana open, so they could be fearing another deny. But I mean, at this point, you know I'm just going to go in with the attack, so if you have it, whether I have the deny or not, you're kind of forced into playing it, so. We'll see what they got here. The tension is killing me. I mean, I assume they're just going to pass. I can't think of any body that they would play right now that would help them. So, they take the pass. We threaten the attack. And then, that's it. Okay, they didn't have it. Wow. Oh boy. That one was tense, but you got to see, in my opinion, like, basically the full game plan, with the exception of me making the one mental mistake of forgetting that Mentor is on play and not on summon, so I'm sorry, I apologize. Alright. We now get to choose another champion. And since we're in Mono Ionia, we're only going to be shown Ionian champions, and oh boy. So right out of the gate we have Zed. It would be Zed number 2, along with another hand buff option and another hand buff option. We could also take Shen with a Zephyr Sage and another Lifeblade, or we have Karma and 2 more Wayfinders. We don't even want the 1 Wayfinder in our deck right now. The downside, though, is I don't think I want 4 Inspiring Mentors. But Zed is easily the best champion choice here for our particular list. Karma, we don't have a lot of spells. And even the ones we do have, with the exception of maybe like, you know, the one Dawn and Dusk or whatever, they're just not super valuable. Another Shen's not the end of the world, but I mean, this is just the pick. It's got to be the pick for us. It fits our deck more than any of the others. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to grab that. And we're going to jump into another game. Play game number 2 for this video. And win or lose, we'll stop after this one. Alright, so we're up against Ionia and Shadow Isles. And they have Zed, Callista, and Thresh. I think we're going to throw these back, but I like the other 2. Especially with us attacking on the evens. And an early deny. So this is actually pretty solid. We would have loved to have a mentor. on our opener like they do. Like, it makes me kind of sad that we don't, but...
For two.
Just gotta pass through. Now, what we might run into as an issue here is they could have a oh, I dislike you. Alright. What we could run into is they could have a very good ephemeral package.
Full speed ahead.
So we're gonna attack with our elusive. In the next round, we have a decision to make. We could develop Zed to set ourselves up for an open attack the following round, but I really like playing Mentor and Conspirador, personally.
I'll show you how it's done.
And we skip this block. We don't want to lose our elusive for the 1/1. So we'll go ahead and... we're actually going to put it on the Zed.
You'll soon understand.
And the reason I think we're going to target the Zed is because this already has 2 health to get us outside of the Vile Feast range. So the next landmark, if that makes sense, that you are really trying to target, oh, this could be a really good deny. But I think we're going to save deny for protecting our Zed here. So we're going to allow it. The next landmark is 3 health for something like Black Spear. And then after that, it's just straight up hard removal options. But since we're going to be playing this, bouncing this, next turn we can play Mentor on Zed again, which will make him up to a 5/4, which takes him outside of that Black Spear range. Alright, so that, we know what that gave them. That gave them an Inspiring Mentor. Now we could just take the free 5 damage, but because we're going to get so much value out of this Zed play, we're going to slow play it here.
My training is unconventional.
If this wasn't going to be a 5/4 Zed, I would have open attacked all day, but we're going to have a 5/4 Zed, and then this will potentially be a 4/1 and a 3/2. I say potentially because at 4, you know, Vile Feast is a thing.
You weren't always this.
Oh, wow, okay. So they're going to have another Inspiring Mentor, but we're going to come down with the Zed,
Pledge yourself to the shadows.
which is a very safe play since they have no mana.
Do not deny me.
Can put them in a bit of a pickle, because this is a lot of damage coming, and they really don't want my Zed to level up. But that is, in my opinion, that is a impressive amount of damage there. I mean, just with our elusives alone, we're threatening lethal this next turn. We have the Deny in hand to back up any targeted kill effects.
Nowhere to hide.
Alright, this grants barrier to something in hand, but that doesn't really help us much. They're out of mana, so we don't have to worry about Deny protection. This is almost assuredly going to eat our Zed, so all we're going to do right now is develop Usari.
My dream.
Because if they make this trade here, but they're out of mana, next turn we open attack with the elusives. And then at that point, even if they have a Vile Feast for this, these 2 will still be enough for lethal. So we do lose the Zed to a buff Thresh here, but I think we win the game as a result. And the reason I say that is because, like, even if they have, so things that could hose you right now, right? Undying Grasp, trying to target this would be an issue, but we've got the Deny to back ourselves up here. Yeah, Whale is also another potential issue, but we've got the elusives, we've got the Deny, and we've got the victory. So, very well done from the elusive and hand buff perspective. Hopefully you're seeing what we're trying to do. It's also why we took the Zed the last time around. Zed just fits so well into everything that we were already trying to do from a game plan standpoint. So now we get one option for another trade pick, and there are some juicy choices here actually. So we could trade out the Guardian for another hand buff option in the Elder. We could trade out a Lookout for another combat trick that we're a little short on, and Twin Disciplines is traditionally a pretty good one. Or we could trade out the Awakener for another Usari, because we are a little light on, like, quote-unquote top end. I honestly like all of these. I do not see a trade here that I wouldn't be comfortable making, if I'm being entirely honest. Like, this card is good, not great. Like, the biggest benefit, in my opinion, is just that it cycles. But the hand buff here is really solid. Lookout, again, is of the 2-drops that we're running, and we have a fair number of them already, it's like the weakest one. So trading it for a quality combat trick, I think, is very, very good. And then Awakener here is great, but this is a great late game option. I think this is probably the weakest trade, just because the benefit is still, I think, a net positive with this trade, but not as high as the other two. Here we're getting rid of a very situational card that cycles for something that definitely helps us. Here we're getting rid of one of our weakest 2-drops for a really good combat trick. I'm leaning towards this because, again, we're very short on combat tricks outside of Deny. And because we already have 4 Inspiring Mentors, I think that this loses a little bit of value. So I think we are going to make this. I think keeping our key units alive is probably more important than another hand buff at this moment. So that's the trade that we're going to make. And then we're going to be set up for going into our next game, but that's going to be it for this video. So if you made it this far, thanks for watching. If it's your first time finding me, consider subscribing so you can check out the rest of not just this expedition like mini series that I'm doing, but also all of my other Runeterra content. And I love you all. Thanks. See you next time.